Some Canadians will have to pay more if they want to watch hockey at home. The CBC will no longer carry NHL broadcast after this season that just wrapped up as Rogers Sportsnet takes over all games. The CBC's Mark Harkisol joins me in studio with the details. And Mark, this really is the end of an era that spans almost 100 years.
Yeah, end of an era, certainly. And I want to get into that, but I also want to talk about something you mentioned there about the fact that this impacts the way Canadians will watch the game, how much it costs them to pay. Andrew said some Canadians will have to pay more. I think the key line is here, some Canadians will have to pay. Period.
Right.
Because without hockey broadcasts on CBC, there's no longer any over-the-air free hockey broadcasts in Canada. And in terms of basic cable, there is still some limited options, but increasingly it's going toward you having to have some sort of a sports package or an app package or something like that. You can still get hockey games on basic cable with City TV, but then you need a sports package to get Sportsnet or TSN, various apps to get a lot of out-of-town games if your favorite team is not your hometown team. So it is definitely going to change the way Canadians watch hockey and how much it's going to cost. Essentially, CBC was rebroadcasting Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday nights. Rogers has had the rights to that since 2013. They were producing it all. They were getting the ad revenue from it. The CBC was essentially just rebroadcasting it. But with Rogers renewing the deal for its NHL rights, CBC was left out of having that clause that it had the last time around that allowed it to show Hockey Night in Canada. And so that's why there is no more CBC TV hockey broadcast. Now, in terms of, yes, as Andrew mentioned, the end of an era, Sportsnet and CBC in a joint statement touched on that late this morning when they wrote, quote, after a successful 12-year partnership, Sportsnet and CBC today announced the public broadcaster will no longer carry NHL broadcasts after the current season as it moves forward with a new direction for its sports programming following the unprecedented success of the Milano Cortina Olympic Games. Watching hockey on Saturday night is a time-honored tradition for Canadians, and Sportsnet is privileged to continue to deliver that tradition. Time-honored indeed, as you mentioned, Andrew, close to a century now. CBC has been broadcasting Hockey Night in Canada, first in radio as of 1936, then as of October 1952, doing it with television. Foster Hewitt commentating along the way, that legendary voice. Now that's not going to be the case. CBC says it is going to increase its sports programming in other ways to fill that gap. Most notably, they say they will be focusing on the next Olympics, the Commonwealth Games, women's professional leagues, 20 major world championships. They're also on Saturday nights when Hockey Night in Canada would have normally aired, going to have a show showcasing Canadian athletes. So a major change in the way Canadians will view the game and just a major change in the Canadian scope of heritage, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. A big deal. Mark, thank you. CBC's Mark Harkisol. So we're staying on the story and bringing in Jeff Marek, just outside of Toronto. He is a hockey analyst and host of the Sheet podcast. And Jeff, nice to see you. Thanks for taking the time.
Oh, Andrew, it's so great to see you. I feel we should have like black drapes behind me here. So it's a sad day for Canadian sports fans. It is great to see you, but yes, this is very much the end of an era here, dating back some 74 years.
Yeah, I mean, almost 100 if you include the radio broadcasts.
Yes, correct.
So what are we losing here? I feel like you're sad about this.
It's tough for me to separate sort of professional Jeff from personal Jeff because I grew up with this property on CBC. You know, I think for a lot of Canadians, a lot of our childhoods were sort of mixed in with, you know, the family gathering together on a Saturday night to watch hockey games. Whether it was, you know, all the way back in the original Six era or right up until last week. You know, CBC was always a staple with Hockey Night in Canada. So it's a loss, and I want to take it even further. Andrew, I don't even think it's just a sports loss. I think it's a culture loss too. As well. This has been a mainstay, one of those things that hasn't changed. I mean, it's certainly evolved. It's a much different presentation. It is, you know, it has been for the last 12 years handled and produced by Rogers Sportsnet. But I think this is a cultural loss for this country. I mean, I always try to catch myself and say, don't be the one that's hanging on to history and marrying yourself to history and not wanting to budge. But I can't help but thinking that this is a pretty significant loss for Canadians here.
And then, you know, I mean, from an equity point of view, you know, there are a lot of people that watch hockey that are trying to make ends meet, and now they're going to have to, for a lot of Canadians, but for a lot of Canadians, they're going to have to pay for it. I mean, what do you make of that aspect of the story?
Sports is big business. Live event television drives the marketplace, and that's where a lot of the revenues are. And Rogers Sportsnet is in the business of selling subscriptions and getting shareholder value, et cetera, all the things that we're used to with companies like Rogers Sportsnet. So it really should come as no surprise that they want to bring the entire thing under the tent. I always thought that the NHL wanted as wide distribution as possible, and that's why I really thought that the Rogers Sportsnet CBC marriage was a good one, because it seemed to sort of satisfy what both sides needed. CBC wasn't selling any commercial inventory on Hockey Night in Canada in this 12-year package, the most recent 12-year package. There was promotional inventory that CBC enjoyed, but there wasn't any commercial inventory that they were participating in. I always thought that this was a really good hand-to-glove relationship between the two sides here that would allow all Canadians to enjoy a Saturday night with their family, as historically Canadians always have. But those days are in the rearview mirror now, Andrew.
Now, so CBC, as Mark was mentioning, is saying that they're going to focus on other sporting events such as the Olympics, the Commonwealth Games, women's professional leagues. So does this, as one door closes, does another door open for different kind of opportunities, different coverage?
That's a great way to look at it, and specifically with the PWHL. I mean, the best investment opportunity right now in sports is on the women's side of things. And if you look at the future growth potential for hockey, the biggest growth potential is on the women's side, not the men's side. Sure, the men's side right now is where we're seeing millions and millions of dollars, but I've always maintained if you want to invest in a growth opportunity in hockey, it's at the women's end of things right now. And the PWHL is very much a league on the rise. Is it profitable yet? No, but that is certainly on the horizon when they start to sell some of these franchises. So, much like CBC helped the NHL go from the root to the fruit, I think there's the opportunity now for CBC to do the same with the PWHL.
Do you think this move was inevitable?
Probably. As we look at the way sports is trending right now in sports broadcast and with the sublicensing that Rogers Sportsnet is going to be doing with this package, and that I don't think is put to bed yet, but will be announced at some point as well. Look, sports is big business. And, again, like I mentioned, Sportsnet's in the business of selling subscriptions. So it shouldn't come as any surprise. As much as it is a bummer for Canadians, it really should come as no surprise that this is the inevitability that this is marched towards.
Okay, so Jeff, since you opened the door to, talking about it, personal, how it kind of like what, take me down on memory lane. What does this mean to you to lose this? And to be fair, we should say, the CBC did have that promotional aspect to it, but it really hasn't been. It's just been it has been a rebroadcast for many years. But tell me more about
so much, Andrew. So much of my youth has been mixed in with, in the fall, winter, and spring, watching hockey games on CBC Saturday night. Me and my sister in front of the television, West End, Toronto, my mom and dad on the couch. And it was something that we got together to do as a family. And even as we got older and family responsibilities and pursuits got scattered, there was always that one common ground that we had. We were always together on Saturday nights. And I don't think I'm unique across the country of many people as well. I think a lot of Canadians share those same memories. I can't tell you how many games or Stanley Cup finals or international competitions we all watched as a family on CBC's Hockey Night in Canada. This is for me personally. I'm going to consider it a major loss. Yeah,
an institution. All right, Jeff. Appreciate your time very much. Thank you. Good to see you, hockey analyst Jeff Marek, just outside Toronto.